You had said to me some time ago that this is running really deep in Canada. I've since learned that from all my Canadian family and friends. But it's deeper than anything I ever recall in terms of disputes between Canada and the United States, which, by the way, have been going on since the creation of Canada. There's always been disputes.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. I'd say I've never seen my country like this ever before. Canadians have been galvanized. The level of attachment to Canada, even in places like Quebec, which has variously at times tried to secede from Canada, the attachment to Canada there is well over 80%.
Right.
We've never seen anything like that.
Right.
But it's born out of a sense of anger and betrayal.
Yep.
And that is the motivating factor in Canada right now. We've been punched in the nose by our very best friend, and we're trying to figure out why.
Any answer to the why?
Initially, Donald Trump said it was because of the border and fentanyl. Now, on those issues, we have no disagreement with Donald Trump. Every border should be secure, and fentanyl, if we had a magic wand, would disappear from the face of the planet tomorrow.
Right.
The problems on the Canadian border, however, are minuscule. Doesn't mean we shouldn't attack it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do something. We stepped up with over $1 billion to help, essentially, CBP take care of the problem on the American side. You see, the issue is we have fentanyl coming from the United States into Canada.
Right.
We also have illegal immigrants coming from the United States into Canada. And, of course, vice versa. This is a problem that both countries have to work on. This is not a Canada problem.
Right.
This is a Canada-United States problem. Everything can always be made better.
The punch in the face thing is interesting because it's not just the trade, it's this territorial discussion. This idea. Let me tell you what President Trump said on Thursday at the White House. He said, Canada only works as a state. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anywhere. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. Now, there will be a little disruption, but it won't be for very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. End quote.
I'm glad he said he was sorry.
Yeah.
Look, facts matter in a case like this. Let's take aluminum. The United States produces 14% of its aluminum use. Where are they getting the rest of it? Well, they're getting 60% from Canada. I kind of think the United States needs Canada. Interesting, too, Ali, that Alcoa, which is an American company but has aluminum smelters in Canada, has said that as a result of the tariffs, they may take all that aluminum that they're making in Canada that originally came to the United States and sell it elsewhere in the world where there are no tariffs. So what we're looking at here is not just a price disruption, but a supply disruption as well.
Right. Which we just saw a little bit of during COVID, and it caused prices to spike.
Absolutely. And that's just one small area.
Right.
We provide 60% of the nickel that the Department of Defense uses for the security of the United States. So I would just submit that maybe, the briefers in the White House might want to do a little bit more work to find out exactly what it is that the United States takes from Canada, buys from Canada, and similarly what we buy from the United States. Look, this is a trading relationship that is over $1 trillion a year. That is $2.5 billion every single day. And it's been like that for a very, very long time. It is the most dynamic economic relationship in the world, bar none. Why do we want to fool around with that?
The irony is that for all the criticisms Donald Trump has about the Canada-U.S. trade agreement, the current one, he's the other side of it. He was there. He negotiated. He was the one who said, I don't really like NAFTA, so we're going to make this new deal, which he made.
Not only did he make it, Ali, but the USMCA, as it's now called, was brought onto the world stage by the president in his first administration and called the best trade deal that the world has ever seen, and his signature was on it. Now suddenly he's got a problem with it. I could go on, list after list after list of things that we hear and we go, well, wait a minute, that needs to be corrected. Dairy, for example, is a big concern. We buy 3 times more dairy from the United States than the United States buys from us. American dairy products coming into Canada, completely tariff-free because there's a ceiling. After that ceiling, you pay tariffs. U.S. producers have never even reached that ceiling.
Right.
So we don't understand why this is even being brought up. I mean, as I said, we've got a tariff-free agreement for 99% of the stuff that goes back and forth between the countries. That keeps prices low for Americans. It keeps prices low for Canadians. It means that we can do more, we can build more, we can become more prosperous. The moment you start throwing in tariffs, not only do you have a trade issue, but then you've got an issue between the countries, and in our case, an existential threat.
Right.
We don't need to be liberated by a foreign power. We don't need to be subjugated by a foreign power. We kind of like our freedom. We are the true north, strong and free. That's the underlying.
Let's talk about the global implications of this. Prior to this trade war, prior to the election of Donald Trump, it looked like there was a popular, almost insurgent populist movement, similar to what we've seen in a lot of Western countries and the United States. What's happened now that Canadians don't seem to want that as much?
I think, and you know, my job down here, we're in New York. This is where I work as well. And I tend to look more at American politics than I do at Canadian politics these days. But I do think that what's happening in Canada is that there is now just one issue. And that one issue is Donald Trump.
Right.
That's it. And I think that the other domestic issues, which Canadians are divided about and debating about, and so on, have taken second seat to that. And I think that we're at this weird moment in our history where we're really saying we might have to not physically fight, but make sacrifices to defend this country.
The fissures with Canada speak to the fissures with NATO and the fissures around the defense of Ukraine. The rest of the world is sort of coalescing. Keir Starmer in Great Britain is sort of trying to develop what looks like an alternative to NATO. Where does Canada stand on these things?
Well, what we've had to do to defend ourselves is look for new markets, new alliances. Where are we fitting in the world? And as the tectonic plates are moving, we've had to look to older friends and older alliances and say, what can we do there? So absolutely, we're looking at Europe. Prime Minister Carney's first overseas trip, or first trip, is not to the United States, it's to Europe.
Yeah.
And I think that shows how Canada, at all levels in Canada, we're looking at how do we source other stuff? Who do we trade with? Who do we trust? And I think that's in turmoil right now.
Not a conversation that in all the years we've known each other, we would typically have to discuss.